Where the southwestern part of the United States borders Mexico, you'll find the Sonoran Desert. Here in midsummer, the daytime temperature can reach 113 degrees Fahrenheit in the shade, and the surface of the sand can reach 140 degrees Fahrenheit. The heat and lack of water can make it difficult for people to live here. Some early pioneering settlements turned into ghost towns. Although people find this environment extremely harsh, many reptiles, birds, and mammals are well adapted to life here. Desert plants, like the different types of cactus, retain enough water to enable them to survive, and they provide nourishment to many of the desert's creatures. Amphibians like this toad are another type of animal living here. Amphibians are the smallest class of vertebrates, that is, animals with a backbone. This one has spent the last 10 months hibernating under the sand, waiting for the summer rains. Dust devils skip across the desert, forming clouds of sand. This is an early indication that rain clouds are on the way. Accompanied by thunder and lightning, the rain begins. It's a truly torrential downpour. Huge raindrops pound on the sand and awaken the toads in their sheltered hideouts. The vibrations caused by the pounding rain serve as the toads' alarm clock. The movement in the surrounding sand wakes them up. Their body's biological rhythms allow them to be wakened by the summer rains, although they sleep right through the winter storms. Within an hour, 4 inches of rain has fallen. That's too much for this wolf spider. Its shelter is being flooded, so it moves elsewhere. This land had been bone dry. Now it turns into a riverbed. Suddenly, all over the area, toads are digging their way out of the soil. They're called spadefoots because of the adaptation of their hind legs. On their hind legs, there's a small hard growth that the toad uses like a shovel for digging through the desert soil. The emerging toads must do 2 things. They have to regain their energy by eating, and they have to find a mate. These water puddles will dry up within about 10 days. Before that happens, the toads must mate and lay eggs. Then the eggs have to hatch, and the tadpoles develop into toads. So it's a race against time. The male toads puff up their throats and croak out their mating calls to attract females. The sound carries for miles. There are 60 males and 40 females in this puddle. Because there are fewer females than males, many of the male toads have problems finding a mate. In their urgent search, they will try to mate with virtually anything that moves. Sometimes a male toad mistakes another male for a female. The second toad quickly lets him know he's wrong. Often a lonely male will disturb a mating pair and try to push away his competitor. By paddling with her hind legs, the female toad maneuvers to a place where she can lay her eggs. This might be a submerged rock, or perhaps some fallen branches. Here she lays about 4,000 eggs, which the male fertilizes. Like other amphibians, these toads go through an incomplete metamorphosis of 3 stages, which are egg, tadpole, and adult. The eggs develop rapidly in the warm water. In less than 24 hours, the eggs mature into tadpoles. Their complete development from eggs to young adults takes only 7 days. The summer rain, which wakens the toads, also gives a boost of energy to the desert's entire animal population. These ants are repairing their nests, searching for food and caring for their young. Here the ants swarm into flight in their mating ritual. To this lizard, the hatching insects mean a plentiful food supply. The desert plants also come to life. Seeds germinate overnight, and the desert blossoms with brilliant color. Sunlight begins to evaporate the smaller pools of water. Survival here requires rapid development. Plankton multiplies quickly in the warm water. Billions of tiny plants and single-cell animals turn the liquid into a thick, green, nourishing soup. Another amphibian living in this desert is the giant toad. Like other amphibians, the giant toad is ectothermic, or cold-blooded. That means its body temperature stays about the same as the temperature of its surroundings. The giant toads can grow to a length of 15 inches and a weight of 11 ounces. Their metamorphosis from egg to young adult takes longer than that of the spadefoot, so they are at greater risk. The risk of their puddle drying up, and the risk of falling prey to predators. Now it's evening. With the help of an infrared camera, we can watch the spadefoot toads searching for food. These toads are carnivores, meat eaters. Some of their favorite prey are beetles, insect larvae, grasshoppers, and crickets. Like the toads, the insects come out mainly at night. They're nocturnal. The toads' bulging eyes allow them to see in all directions, even behind them. Although it's no longer a tadpole, this young spadefoot is not yet fully grown. It will reach sexual maturity at the age of 4 years. The toad eats as much as it can. When the rainy season is over, it must be able to survive on its reserves of body fat during the long underground hibernation, when it will lose up to 1/2 of its body weight. This one's really getting full. Just one last bite, and then mealtime's over. It's time to find shelter. While hurrying to get out of the hot sun, this toad may be ignoring another danger. It hasn't noticed this rattlesnake. The toad regards animals larger than itself as enemies. But it isn't afraid of things that don't move. The snake isn't moving, so the toad comes closer, maybe too close. Lucky for the toad, the snake's already full. The tadpoles find nourishing bacteria and algae at the water's edge. The rain has washed an entire year's accumulation of plant and animal matter into these pools, a feast for these youngsters. Tadpoles are perfect eating machines. They don't stop for anything, not even for other tadpoles. But first they concentrate on the algae. This abundant food source covers the surface of everything in the pond. The tadpole's mouth has many rows of fine, comb-like teeth. Its teeth filter tiny particles of food out of the water. For now it breathes through gills. It's developing lungs, which it will breathe with on land. Its hind legs have already begun to develop. The front legs will appear just before it leaves the pond. During the night it rains again, further enriching the desert's plant and animal life. It's a good year for the toads. Normally, after the first night, the toads do not return to the pool. Water attracts too many predators. This young one is inexperienced and risks taking an extra swim. This pool is drying up fast and destroying the tadpole's food supply. You'd think the remaining ones would all die, but the spadefoots have developed a survival strategy. Within a couple of days, some of the tadpoles have grown far larger than the others. They're surviving through cannibalism, by eating the other tadpoles. There are also other dangers in the pool. This is a large beetle larva. Its favorite food is tiny shrimp. But the larva welcomes spadefoot tadpoles as a side dish. This larva is attacking two tadpoles at the same time. Above the water's surface, it's sunny and peaceful. Here a newly hatched adult dragonfly dries its wings in the sunshine. Other than predators, the greatest danger for the toads is the searing heat of the sun. It's been 8 days since the toads' eggs were fertilized. These youngsters climb out of the water. Immediately they look for shade. Their instinct is to dig for shelter, but these aren't yet strong enough for that. As the mud dries, large cracks appear, which offer protection from predators and the fierce heat. Of the 4,000 eggs laid by one female toad, only about 4 young toads survive. 2 or 3 of those will make it through the next 4 years, when they'll be mature enough to continue the reproductive cycle. It's now 10 days after that first summer rainfall. The last remaining pool is drying up too quickly for these tadpoles and freshwater shrimp. They won't survive. The shrimp do manage to lay their eggs, which will hatch in next year's summer rain, along with a new generation of tadpoles. The toads' time above ground has ended. Now they'll dig themselves deep into the sand for their 10 months of hibernation. There, below the surface, they'll be well protected from predators and the heat of the desert sun, just waiting for the summer rain.